Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How are you doing, Oliver?
I'm fine. Good morning, sir.
Yes, I can see your face. IBK Ibukun.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
Yes, sir.
Benjamin. Florence. Ngozi. Abiodun.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ngozi.
Good morning, sir.
Benjamin, how are you today?
Good morning, sir. Fine, sir.
Good. Yes, I can also see Fatima. Fatima, I'm greeting you. Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
Imam. Tope Olujemisin. How are you this morning?
Good morning, sir.
How do you do? It's been a while. Where have you been? You've been avoiding me, right? Okay. Yemi. These were precious. Good morning to you this morning.
Morning, sir.
Yeah, Grace Henry, I'm greeting you. Christiana Harfred, Daniel, Eniola. Good morning. Okay, so because of a limiting factor, which is time, so I think we should start now. Others will join us. And please kindly mute yourself. Kindly mute yourself. If you want to ask any questions, just raise your hand or send me a comment, send me a chat on the comment section, please. Okay, then. I think we can start. Let me share my screen with you. Yeah, Grace, good morning. Please mute yourself, everyone, mute yourself. Please open to the material with you. So let me know if you can see my screen, please. Can you?
Yes, I can see it.
All right, then. Please, I beg every one of you, if I don't ask you to talk, please don't disrupt the class. Once you finish talking, just mute yourself. All right? Okay, then. So today we are going to be looking at asset replacement decision. The topic is a very straightforward topic. It's nothing difficult. And the last time ICANN tested this topic was 2017. You can see it a very long time ago. But you never can tell what may come out on March 15th. But the issue is that it's not just about the exam that you want to write. You know, these are practical concepts that you as a professional accountant, you need to get familiar with, because your responsibility as a professional accountant is to make life easy for the management, you know, it's for you to be able to support management in making managerial decisions. So you need to help the business to minimize costs and also improve on their bottom line. So part of your responsibility is to appraise projects. Your responsibility is to give pertinent advice, okay? A very valuable advice to the management for them to be able to outperform the competitors. So it's not just about the exams. So this morning, we are going to be delving into discussing the concept of asset replacement decision. Now, let's take it this way. Say, for example, a company purchased a non-current asset in terms of a motor vehicle. You see, when that motor vehicle is still very new, the operating performance, the operating efficiency of the asset, that is the operating condition of the asset, will still be very high. At that state of the asset, if the company wants to dispose it, the asset will surely command a high value. Okay. Yes, the owner of the asset will command a high value. So give that asset a few years down the line, you will notice that the operating efficiency of the asset will start declining. Not only that, if the company now wants to dispose the assets, they are going to command a very little sum of money. Not only that, at that time, when the asset is getting old, the maintenance costs that the company will incur will keep on increasing. Because the asset will become problematic for the company to manage. And that's why we want to learn this concept of replacements. Some of you can be very stubborn. No matter how you can imagine. I said before the class that mute yourself. Keep on distracting the class. So let's put down a short note if you want to write. Let's put down a short note. Asset replacement decision. This involves the process of determining the optimal replacement strategy by a company for the assets that have been put into use to generate goods or to render services. Asset replacement decision involves the process of determining the optimal replacement strategy to be adopted by an organization for the assets that have been put into use to generate goods or to render services. The concern of the management is how and when should the asset be replaced at a later date in the future. The concern of the management is when and how the asset should be replaced at a later date in the future. This is because when an asset is newly bought, its operating efficiency will be very high. The resale value will also be very high, while the maintenance cost will be relatively low. However, as replacement is deferred into the future, the asset will become problematic to maintain. However, as replacement is deferred into the future, the assets will become problematic to maintain. Therefore, management must decide or establish asset replacement guideline to be able to determine the optimal replacement strategy to be adopted on a consistent basis going forward. So that's the background to asset replacements. There are basically two types of replacements. One is identical replacements. Two is non-identical replacements. The identical replacement will occur when an asset with similar characteristics is replaced. When an asset with similar characteristics is replaced with a new one that represents identical replacements. Because it is assumed that the identical assets will generate the same cash flows. It is assumed that identical assets will generate the same cash flow. The second one is non-identical replacements. The non-identical replacement will arise when an existing asset is replaced with a different one. This is because when an asset will be replaced with an asset of different type, the decision will then be when should the assets be replaced. Okay, that's what management wants to know. When you want to replace an asset with an identical, an asset with an existing asset with a different one, management wants to know when should the existing one be replaced. Say, for example, there's a new technology in a town relative to the old one has become archaic. All right, so there is need for the company to integrate the new technology into the company's operation. Therefore, management wants to know when should the existing one, the current assets, be replaced. Now, that is as per types of replacements. We also have two classifications of assets. One is assets that phase gradually. Two is assets that phase suddenly. For the asset that phase gradually, there are non-current assets that's where as a result of regular usage. For example, assets such as motor vehicle, plant and equipment, machinery. So as a result of regular usage, it will come to a time in the future when the assets will wear out, will become old. So when you talk about assets that phase gradually, those are the categories of assets we are talking about. The second one is assets that phase suddenly. The assets that phase suddenly are those kind of assets that have insignificant amount of cost. Assets such as tire, tube, bulb, you can see how much is the cost of a bulb or cost of a tire, all right? But the consequential effect of the failure is what management wants to guide against. You can imagine having a meeting with a VIP and all of a sudden in your office, the entire room just black out. Imagine someone driving on the expressway and the tire just burst. Just imagine what could happen. So the consequential effect of the failure is what management wants to guide against. So it's not just about the cost. So these are the things. It's not just about the theoretical. It's something we need to adopt. We need to practice on a consistent basis. All right. So let's move to the next item. Now, there are some assumptions that relate to asset replacement decision. Whenever you want to make your calculations, or whenever you want to do anything that relates to asset replacements, you may want to talk about this, you may want to apply these assumptions. One vital assumption is the fact that all qualitative factors, the non-monetary factors that relate to the assets are ignored. The non-monetary factors, such as pollution, safety, all right, all those stuff are ignored. That's one assumption. Not only that, the impact of inflation and taxation is also ignored. That's another assumption. Number three, cash flows that the asset will be generated are also ignored because they will be the same irrespective. The cash flow will be the same irrespective of replacement decision taking. All right, and that's why we usually ignore the cash inflows. That's the assumption. Then number four, the operating efficiency of the assets, that is the new one and the old one are the same. That's the assumption. The operating efficiency of the assets are the same. So these are some of the assumptions you need to be aware of in case you are asked. Now, there are basically three reasons. There are basically three key reasons for asset replacement. One is age. Two is operating efficiency. Then three is technology. When you talk about age, when an asset is old and becoming worn out, that asset will become problematic to function properly and as intended by the management. Because when the asset is old, it becomes more expensive to maintain and operate. The company will be spending money to maintain the asset. And that's why when you go to some company's generator house, you will see that the floor is always very black because of the oiling of the machine or of the equipment. When you come outside of the generator house, you will see how smoky or the level of smoke that will be coming out from there. It's because the asset is old, but we keep on maintaining it. So once the asset is old, it can cause injury and it will start lowering quality of products. At that point in time, you need to replace the assets. So once that asset is old, you need to replace it. The second one, which we mentioned, is operating efficiency. Operating efficiency is the working condition of the assets. So when the operating efficiency has declined, it's important to replace the asset at that time. Because when an asset is getting old, it will be generating heat. It will be generating smoke. It will be generating smoke, heat, and causing pollution into the environment through noise. So this negative externality may cause unpleasant conditions. In fact, can also cause injury or hazard to workers and pollute the environment. This takes me to, I remember some time ago, around 2014 or 2015, I was working with a company at that time, and then our sewage plant is leaking. Our sewage plant was leaking, and the entire community somewhere around the VI, the neighbors, were now complaining of the kind of the nuisance that is coming out from that sewage. So it becomes an issue that we have to be filing, we have to be involving lawyers as a result of that, you know? So when you have an asset that is creating some kind of negative externalities to the business environment, you don't need anybody to tell you as a responsible management that you have to do the right thing by replacing the asset with a brand new one. Okay, so when the level of the efficiency has declined significantly, it is important at that time for the asset to be replaced. The third one is technology. With the frequent change in technology and competitive nature of business, it will become imperative to replace an existing asset with a more advanced model, which have the capability to produce a better quality, but a better quality products and with high level of efficiency, especially if your competitor has adopted or have adopted the new technology. As a company, you don't want to be seen to be laggard. Therefore, you need to integrate the new technology into your production process so that you too can benefit from the new technology. So these are some of the reasons for asset replacement. The next item we are going to discuss today is the factors, the underlying factors in replacement decision. What are those factors or the determinants you must consider in relation to replacement strategy? One factor is the capital cost, the original cost, the initial outlay, the money you are going to spend to purchase the assets. So if the money, what this simply means is that if the money is not available, certainly you are going to defer replacement into the future. But if the money is readily available, the money you are going to spend to purchase the asset, if it is available, of course, you go to the market and buy. The second determinant is the resale value, which simply means that earlier replacements will come, like I said earlier today, when the asset is replaced at the earliest possible time, the replacement value will be very high. The asset will command a high value. But if you defer replacement to the future, the resale value will decline. Okay, the resale value will decline. So if you are as a management, if you want to receive or you want to hang a high value from the asset disposal, then earlier replacement may be better. But if you don't have the means to purchase the assets, that means you continue to use the assets, which simply means that the resale value by that time would have dropped. All right. Then the next one is annual maintenance cost. If the asset is becoming more expensive to maintain, it would be better to just replace it, because at that time, the asset will become problematic and it is important for you to just replace it. All right. The next one is the age of the asset. That's another determinant. Another one is the age of the assets. The older the assets, the more expensive it will become to repair and operate. The next one is economic impact of the asset downtime. The downtime, of course, once the asset is old, it will lower productivity. Once productivity is lower, there will be loss of revenue as a result. Then the next one is operating efficiency. So before you replace an asset, you must consider the operating efficiency. Like I mentioned, the operating efficiency is just the working condition of the assets. If the working condition has been impaired, then you need nobody to tell you as a responsible management that that asset needs replacements. And then the last area we are going to talk about as per the determinants for asset replacements is the safety, health, and environmental costs associated with the assets. This is because aging assets can cause accidents at workplace. It can even cause injury to workers if the asset malfunction or creates negative externality through pollution. All right, so these are the determinants of asset replacements. Let's talk about method of determining replacement strategy. Basically, there are three methods of determining optimal replacement strategy. One is annual equivalent value of cost method. Two, lowest common multiple method. Three, is finite horizon. 3 is finite horizon. The interesting thing to note is that the three of them will arrive at the same decision making. It's the same decision, the same optimal strategy that the three of them will recommend. However, whenever you want to determine optimal replacement strategy, always adopt annual equivalent value or cost. The reason being that it is more straightforward and easy to calculate. Not only that, if on the day of your exam, asset replacement is being tested, I can bet you examiner cannot tell you to use any of the methods. You're only going to ask, examiner will only ask you to advise on the optimal replacement strategy to be adopted. In addition, finite horizon is one of the methods of determining optimal replacement strategy, and it is only suitable when there is inflation. However, one of the assumptions of replacement strategy is that inflation and taxation are ignored. That is, they are not relevant. You ignore them. So if that is the case, why stressing yourself? Therefore, let's talk about annual equivalent value or cost method. Now, using annual equivalent value or cost method, there are three procedures you are supposed to carry out. One is to calculate net cash flow. The net cash flow will be the difference between annual contribution and annual maintenance or running cost. I repeat, your first step in determining optimal replacement strategy using annual equivalent value or cost method is to calculate net cash flow. For this purpose, net cash flow represents the difference between annual contribution and running cost. Now, annual contribution will only arise if and only if you are given selling price and variable cost in the question. Where you don't have selling price and variable cost, there will be no need for you to calculate contribution, which means that your only net cash flow will be your maintenance cost. This is because that your net cash flow, you are supposed to be accumulating it year on year. That is, you'll be repeating it every year. For example, if you have a net cash flow of 10,000 naira in the first year, you calculate your NPV for that first year. Then, as you are moving to the following year, year 2, you are going to repeat the net cash, your net cash flow of that year 1 for year 2, then the net cash flow of year 2. As you are going to year 3, you repeat the net cash flow of year 1, the net cash flow of year 2, and the net cash flow of that year 3. So you'll be accumulating, you'll be repeating it year on year for calculating your NPV. That is step 1. Then step 2, you need to calculate annual equivalent value or cost. Step 2 is to calculate annual equivalent value or cost. The annual equivalent value or cost is simply the ratio of NPV to annuity factor of each year. I repeat, the annual equivalent value or cost is the ratio of NPV to annuity factor of each year. Then step 3, you advise. Step 3, you advise. So, like I said, the annual equivalent value or cost method is the ratio of NPV to annuity factor. Of course, all of you, you know how to calculate annuity factor using this formula. All right then. So the step 3 is for you to advise. You need to select which replacement strategy the company should adopt. Should the asset be replaced every year, every 2 years, or every 3 years? So that is the advice you must give. Using annual equivalent value, if your NPV calculated for each year are positive, That means it is annual equivalent value. So if it is annual equivalent value, you are supposed to select the highest number for your advice. However, if the NPV calculated are all negative for the relevant years, it means it is annual equivalent cost. And if it is annual equivalent cost, your advice is to select the lowest one. You are going to select the lowest annual equivalent cost for your advice. So these are the things you need to do as far as determining optimal replacement strategy is concerned. So at this point, we can then go ahead for illustrations. Please let me know if you have any question for me before we change to working notes. Let me hear from you if you have any question for me so far. If not, we'll move to the next stage. Any question for me? All right then.
No, sir.
Okay, so let's move on. Let's have an illustration. If we're able to solve like 2 illustrations, that will be okay. Let's start from illustration number 3. Let's start from illustration number 3. Okay. Let me see. Who has offended me this morning that we read? Somebody was talking the other time, causing, making noise. I need to punish that person. I can't remember the name. Okay, I can't remember the name again. It's all right. Oh yeah, somebody should read. I need somebody to read for us. I don't want to call name. Yeah, somebody should read.
Okay, let me read.
Thank you, Oliver.
HAL Limited is a manufacturing company based in Aba. One of its most successful products is Actone, a mortar coloring agent. Actone is made using a single processing machine, which mixes the raw ingredients and dispenses the completed product into 5 liters carton. A 5-liter carton of Actone sells for 300 naira, an estimated maximum annual demand at the price of 300,000 cartons. At this level of demand, HAL can justify the operation of only one processing machine, which HAL currently replaces every 3 years, although the processing machine has a productive life of 4 years. In the first year of its life, the processing machine has a productive capacity in line with the maximum annual demand for the product. But each year thereafter, this productive capacity falls at a rate of 15,000 units per annum. Annual maintenance costs in the first year of operating the processing machine are estimated at 300,000 naira. Thereafter, the directors expect the annual maintenance cost to increase by 50,000 per annum, regardless of the actual number of 5 liters carton produced. HAL incurred a variable costs, excluding depreciation and maintenance costs, of 200 naira in producing each 5 liters carton. The company provides for depreciation on all its non-current assets using the straight-line method. If company were to dispose the processing machine after 1 year, the directors estimate sales proceed of 8 million naira, but this could fall by 3 million per annum in each of the following 2 years. Assume the processing machine has 3 years lifespan. Following a recent increase in the cost of processing machine to 12 million, the company's director are reconsidering their current replacement policy with a view of maximizing the present value of the company's cash flow. It can be assumed that all revenue and costs are received or paid in cash at the end of the year to which they relate, with the exception of the initial price of the processing machine, which is paid in full at the time of purchase required. Assume that the processing machine is used to maximize capacity and showing all your supporting calculation, advise L directors how often they should replace the processing machine. Assume cost of capital of 10%. B. Itemize the major assumption made in your calculation above.
Thank you very much, Oliver. You can mute yourself. Thank you. Now, so that is the question. So from the requirements, you can deduce what this question is all about. Examiner is asking you, how often should they replace the processing machine? So this is to tell you that this question relates to replacement strategy. Therefore, if that is the case, what are you supposed to do? The first thing that should come to your mind is that, okay, I have three procedures to be carried out when I want to determine my optimal replacement strategy using annual equivalent value or cost method. The first procedure is for me to compute net cash flow. If in the question I'm given selling price and variable cost, it means that I'm going to have contribution. So once I have my contribution per unit, then I'll go ahead to calculate annual, and I'll go ahead to calculate total contribution. Once I have my total contribution, I will keep it on one side. I will go back to the question, am I given maintenance cost? If I'm given maintenance cost, okay, in that case, I need to determine my net cash flow. To get my net cash flow, I will pick my annual total contribution. I will less annual maintenance cost to have my net cash flow. Once I have my net cash flow, I will then proceed to calculating NPV for each year, because we are going to calculate your NPV differently for each year. So you go to the question, you go and solve for NPV for the year one. Once you are done with NPV of year one, you move to year two, you calculate NPV. Year three, calculate NPV, on and on like that. Once you have calculated your NPV, then you need to ascertain the nature of your NPV. Are your NPV is positive or negative? If your NPV is positive, that means you are supposed to calculate annual equivalent value. But if your NPV is negative, you are going to calculate annual equivalent cost. So irrespective, if your annual equivalent value, if you calculate annual equivalent value, and then of course you are supposed to select across all the years, you are supposed to select the highest annual equivalent value. But if your NPV is negative, it means that you are supposed to select the lowest annual equivalent cost. So at that point, of course, you need to advise. So with this, I want to stop sharing this note so that I can switch to the working note. Please, I believe you have your own material with you. All right then, so let me switch. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
I can see, sir.
All right, thank you. Okay then, so let's solve. The name of the company is AHEL. So please just open the question at your own hand, because when I'm reading the question, when I'm picking variables, you may not see it. You can only see the working note. So the name of this company is AL. Okay, please let me reshare. Let me reshare the material. For me. Okay. Let me know if you can see it now. AL Limited is the name of the company. Please confirm you can see the screen.
Yes, sir, we can see it.
All right then. So let's go back to the question. Examiner is telling us we have to assume that the processing machine is used to maximum capacity and showing all your supporting calculations, advise AS director how often they should replace the machine. Therefore, at this stage, all I need to do is to go back to the question. When I was reading the question, I have to identify the areas, the variables that I'm looking for. So in the question, when you go to the second paragraph, you will see selling price. You are told that a 5-liter carton of Acton sells for 300 naira. A 5-liter carton of Acton sells for 300 naira. So selling price is 300 naira. Then there's also a variable cost in the third paragraph, almost to the end of the statement in the third paragraph. You are told that AL incurs variable costs, excluding depreciation and maintenance costs of 200 naira in producing each 5-liter carton. So we have a selling price of 300 naira. We also have variable cost of 200 naira. So at this point, I need to go ahead and calculate my contribution per unit. So I will go and do my working separately. So say, for example, this particular page is for the main calculations for year 1, year 2. Let's say year 3, we extend to the second page. Then let's go to the third page to have our workings. Working number 1, contribution. So contribution per unit equal to selling price minus variable cost per unit. The selling price is 300 naira minus variable cost of 200 naira per unit, which means contribution per unit is 300 naira. Sorry, it's 100 naira. Now that I have the contribution per unit, I need to calculate total contribution. Total annual contribution. So we have year, volume or units, then contribution per unit, total contribution. Year 1. Now, we need to go back to the question. What is the useful life of this asset, of this machine? Examiner told us in the second paragraph that at this level of demand, AL can justify the operation. AL can justify the operation. Sorry, somebody is distracting me on phone. Let me put the phone on silence. So, at this level of demand, AL can justify the operation of only one processing machine, which AL currently replaces every 3 years, although the processing machine has a productive life of 4 years. You can see, examiner has told you that the asset has a productive machine life of 4 years. If care is not taken in this question, you are going to mix it out. Even though the life of the machine is 4 years, but the examiner is telling you that when you go back to the fourth paragraph, the last statement there in the fourth paragraph, we are told that assume the processing machine has 3 years lifespan. In a particular place in the second paragraph, we are told 4 years. But the examiner is telling you that you should assume that the processing machine has 3 years life. So you have to be very careful. All right. So the useful life of this machine is 3 years. So I would then come here, year 1, year 2, then year 3. What are the number of units? Let's go and pick the number of units. Yes, if you go to the third paragraph, you are told that in the first year of its life, the processing machine has a productive capacity in line with the maximum annual demand for the product. What is the annual demand of the product? 300,000 units.
300,000.
Yeah, 300,000 cartons is the annual demand. So we are now told that in the first year of its life, the processing machine has a productive capacity in line with the maximum annual demand for the product. But each year thereafter, the productive capacity falls at a rate of 15,000 units per annum. So in that case, if the first year is 300,000, and you're now told that subsequently it will now fall by 15,000 units. So in that case, I will come here. The first year is 300,000. Simple instruction. Some people cannot follow. So 300,000 minus 15,000 units, 285,000. 285 minus 15,000, 270,000. So these are the number of units. Then our annual contribution our contribution per unit is 100 naira. So total contribution will be unit multiplied by contribution per unit. So here will be 30 million naira. Here will be 28,500,000. Then here will be 27
Sorry,
million.
sir. Good morning.
Good morning. Who's
Sir, is it
speaking?
not 50,000? Where is the 15,000 from? This Jennifer.
Who? Who is
This
speaking?
Jennifer, sir. Jennifer.
Oh, okay, Jennifer. So what's your
Jennifer.
question?
Jennifer.
Okay, what's your question?
So, it just subtracted 15,000. I was thinking it's 50,000. Is it not increased by 50,000?
That's not what I read. Examiner told you that in the first year of his life, the processing machine has a productive capacity in line with the maximum annual demand for the product. The maximum annual demand for the product is 300,000 cartons. So you are now told for that about each year thereafter, this
Yes.
productive capacity falls at a rate of 15,000 units per annum. It falls at a rate of 15,000 units per annum. So as you are going to year 2, you need to deduct 15,000 units from 300. As you are moving to year 3, you deduct 15,000 units from 285,000. Okay, it's not 300. Sorry, it's not 50,000. So that's that. The next one is for us.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So I need to go back to the question to go and identify if I'm given maintenance cost or running cost. So you are told in the question that annual maintenance costs in the first year of operating the processing machine are estimated at 300,000 naira. So maintenance cost is 300,000 naira. They are now told that thereafter, the director expects the annual maintenance cost to increase by 50,000 naira per annum, regardless of the actual number of liter cartons produced. So I will then come here. I need to, since I'm given maintenance cost, I need to calculate net cash flow. Net cash flow. The reason why we have to calculate net cash flow is that it will make life easy for you, because if you don't calculate net cash flow, that means in first year, you are going to have contribution and also maintenance cost, including resale value. As you are moving to year 2, you will repeat the contribution of the first year plus the contribution of the second year. You repeat the maintenance cost of the first year plus the contribution plus the maintenance cost of the second year, then the scrap value of the second. So it will become voluminous as you are moving further in the years. So, and that's why it is important for you to just, since both maintenance costs and running costs will be affected with the same discount factor. So just calculate your net cash flow and move on. All right. So I'm going to create a column. We have here contribution, we have maintenance costs. Then we have net cash flow. Year 1, 2, then 3. Here is 30 million, 28, 500. Then here is 27. So our maintenance costs in the first year, we are told that the maintenance cost in the first year is 300,000 naira, and it will increase by 50,000 naira thereafter. So here is 300,000 for the first year. Then as we are moving to the second year, it will increase by 50,000. This is 350,000. Then, of course, in the third year, it will be 400,000. So let's find the difference. Here will be 29,700,000. Next one will be 28,150,000. Then the third year will be 26,600,000. So now that I have the net cash flow ready, I can then proceed to calculating the NPV. So let's go back up there and calculate the NPV for each year. So I would then say replace. Replace every year. So if I want to replace this machine every year, what will be my net present value? So create a column for year, description of items, cash flows, discount factor. Let's go back to the question. What's our cost of capital given? I think I noted it when Oliver was reading. Yes, cost of capital is 10%. So here is 10%. Then the present value. Year 0, year 1. In year 0, the initial cost of the machine. Let's go back to the question. What's the initial cost of the machine? We are told 12 million naira. Following a recent increase in the cost of processing machine to 12 million naira. So 12 million naira is the cost. That's the initial cost of the machine. Multiply by 1, that's 12 million. In year 1, what's our net cash flow? Our net cash flow for year 1, as we have determined, is
29,700.
thank you. 29,700. Thank you. So here is net cash flow. Sorry, my pen is hanging. Let me just hold on. It's great. So let me see. Please, I have to reshare again. My pen is not connecting. Let me stop sharing and reshare again. Okay. So let me share again. So can you see the screen again?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So net cash flow is 29,700,000 in year one. So discount factor at year one, 10% is 0.909. So let's multiply that. So I will say 29,700,000. Okay. Hold on. 29,700 multiplied by 0.909 equal 26,997. Here is 26,997, 300. In that year one, there's a scrap value. Let's go back to the question. In the year one, there's a place I noted scrap value when Oliver was reading. Scrap value, scrap value. Yes. You are told that if the company were to dispose of the processing machine after 1 year, the director estimates sales proceed of 8 million naira. But this could fall by 3 million naira per annum. So the current disposal value in the first year is 8 million naira. Subsequently, it will be dropped by 3 million naira. So let's go and account for that. So I would then say scrap value. First year is 8 million. Multiplied by 0.909. Somebody should give me that. Present value, 8 million. Multiplied by 0.909.
7272000. That's 7 million.
272.
Then 000.
72,000. Thank you. So let's get our NPV. Plus 26,997,300 minus equal, then minus 12,000, 12 million equal 22,269. Here is
300.
Yeah, here is 22,269, 300. So this is the NPV of the first year. Then I'll move to year two. I would then say replace every 2 years. Here, description of items, cash flow, discount factor at 10%, then the present value. Year one, year two, then year two for scrap value. Remember what I told you. When you are using when you are calculating annual equivalent value or cost, your net cash flow must be cumulated. You have to be repeating your net cash flows. So the first year year zero initial cost is initial cost 12 million. Then year one net cash flow 29,700,000. We have calculated the present value to be 26,997,300 naira. Then the net cash flow of the second year. What did we get? What's the net cash flow of the second year?
28 million, 120,000.
28 million, 150,000. So discount factor at year 2, 0.826. So let's multiply 28,150,000 naira multiplied by 0.826 equal 23,251,900. 23,251,900. Then we have scrap value at the end of year 2. We are told that our scrap value will be reducing by 3 million. The first year scrap value was 8 million minus 3 million. We have 5 million left. 0.826. So let's multiply 5 million multiplied by 0.826 equal 4130. 4130,000. Somebody should give me the NPV. NPV at the end of year 2.
42,668,300.
42,668,300.
300.
Thank you.
Oh no, this answer is not correct.
Which one?
Sir,
The
it's not
total.
correct.
42,379,200.
42,379.
379,200.
Okay. 379,300. All right then. Thank you.
200.
200.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. So let's go to year 3. Replace every 3 years. So year, item, cash flow at 10%, then present value. Year 0, initial cost, 12 million. $12 million. Year 1, year 2, year 3, year 3. So the net cash flow of the first year, then scrap value for the final year. The net cash flow of the first year is 29,700,000. Year 2 is 28,150,000. Then year 3 is what? 26 million what? What's the net cash?
26,600.
26?
600.
600,000. Okay then. Then our scrap value, 5 million minus 3 million will remain 2 million.
2 million.
Here is 0.909,826,751. So PV of the first year is 26,997. 26,997,300. The second year PV is 23,251,900. 23,251,900. What's the PV of the third year, please? Pardon?
19,976,600.
19,976,600. Then what's the PV of the scrap value?
1,502,000.
1,502,000. So the NPV is what?
$71,727,800.
Have you deducted the scrap value, sorry, of the initial outlay of 12 million?
59 million. 59 million
Okay, okay.
727.8.
59
59
million,
million 727,800.
727,800.
800.
All right then. So please always confirm the numbers. Others should confirm the numbers so that we know that we are picking the right numbers. So at this point, you can see we have computed NPV for the respective years. Year one, NPV was 22,269,300. Then year two, NPV was 42,379,200 naira. Then, of course, year three, NPV is 59,727,800 naira. So at this point, since we have a positive NPV across all the respective years, then we need to calculate annual equivalent value. I would then say annual equivalent value equal to the ratio of NPV to annuity factor. Okay. Therefore, I will create a column for year, working for annual equivalent value. Then I will have annual equivalent value. Year one, year two, year three. All right. So in year one, what's our NPV for year one? 22 million watts. NPV
269,
269
300.
300. So divide by annuity factor of the first year. So annuity factor of the first year will be 0.909. Okay. Then the NPV of the second year is what? 42,379,200. 42,379,300. So divide by annuity factor of year two, year 1 to 2. Remember, annuity factor is calculated as 1 minus 1 plus R raised to power minus N, or divided by R. In this case, if I want to do for year 2, I will say 1 minus 1.1 raised to power minus 2 divided by 0.1. So this should give you 1.736. So I will come here 1.736. Then NPV of year 3 is 59,727,800 naira. Then divide by annuity factor of year 1 to 3 will give us 2.487. If you apply the same formula, so let's get the answer for each one. So 22,69,300 divided by 0.909 equal 24,498. Here is 24,498. 680. 680. Then for the second one, 42,379, 300 divided by 1.736 equal 24,412, 24,412, 039, 039. Then the third year, 59,727, 800 divided by 2.487 equal 24,016, 003, 003. So we have calculated annual equivalent value for the respective years of the machine. Therefore, at this point, we need to make a decision. Like I mentioned, if your NPVs for each year is positive, it means that you are supposed to calculate annual equivalent value. Therefore, calculating annual equivalent value, you are going to advise on the year that has the highest annual equivalent value. When you look at the annual equivalent value calculated, you will see that year one has the highest figure. Therefore, this machine should be replaced every year. Okay, that's our decision. I would then say the machine
Okay. You are good, chef.
Mhm.
Hey.
Okay.
Okay.
the machine should be replaced every year. Considering the highest annual equivalent value of 24,488,680 naira relative to annual equivalent values of years 2 and 3. That's it. That's end of the question. That's end of the question. Okay, so examiner number B, you are asked to state the assumption made in your calculation. You have some of the assumption in your notes. So in addition to that, you can also add, in addition to the assumptions you have in your notes, then you can add that the cash flows, all relevant cash flows, it is assumed that the cash flows are realistic and will occur at the end of each year. Then number two, you can also say that depreciation, annual depreciation are ignored because they are non-cash item. All right. So in addition to all the assumptions you have in your notes. So that's that. So this is end of the question. Let me know if you have any question for me so that we can move to the next one. Is there anything that's doing you a way?
Hello, sir. I have a question.
Yeah, talk to me. Who is speaking, please? Who is
Yeah,
speaking?
this is Ahmed on the line.
Yeah, talk to me.
Ahmed on the line.
Okay.
Okay. Is it possible for us to, just like the one we did now,
Yep.
all the NPV are positives as we have stated and we have observed. But is it possible for us to have maybe negative in between?
That means there's a mistake somewhere. The student might have committed error. It's not possible. You can
Okay,
either have, you can have a
all
mix.
should be positive or all should be negative.
Yeah. You can have a mix. If an examiner wants to test annual equivalent, wants you to calculate annual equivalent value, the question will be designed such that you are going to have positive NPV all throughout. If examiner wants you to calculate annual equivalent cost, it will be negative all through. So you can have a mix of positive and negative.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Hello, sir.
Yes, talk to me. Who is speaking?
Yes, sir. Only, sir.
Okay, talk to me.
All right, sir. So the discounting factor at 10%, I'm using the MPV, the formula 1 minus 1 plus R raised to power minus n.
Yep.
But I'm getting a different figure.
Which one?
For the one we calculated every year, every 2 years, I guess I'm probably not
Okay. Oh
doing
yeah.
the right
Oh yeah.
thing.
Bring out your. Are you with your calculator? I hope you are not using phone.
No, sir, I'm using the calculator.
Yeah. Type it. Start from the parentheses. 1.1 raised to power minus 2. What do you get? 1.1 raised to power minus 2. What do you get?
0.826.
So whatever you have, just say minus 1. Have you minus 1?
Yes, sir.
Then equal. Divide by 0.1. Divide by 0.1. What do you get?
Okay.
What do you get?
I'll have to do it again, sir.
Okay. So that's how to do it. Just it's from your own hand. Just take your time, you will get the number. All right?
Hello,
Okay.
sir.
Yes, who is speaking?
This is Jennifer, sir.
Yeah, Jenny, talk to me.
Please just assist me to drop down a bit to the MPV for year 3 so that I can see. I want to take the screenshot.
This one?
Thank you. Yes,
right.
thank you. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So any question for me so that we can move to another illustration, please? So in the half, oh, somebody said, Jenny, you said I was fast. It's okay. Sorry
Yes,
about.
now you were fast and you did not even see my chat. I was just
I'm
angry.
sorry about that. It's okay. I will I will slow down. I will take it slowly going forward. Oh yeah, then. So let's move to another illustration. I will stop sharing this, please, so that we can move to another illustration. Let's solve the one that has cost. Stop sharing. Share again. Can you see the notes? Can you see the notes, the question? Hello?
Yes, sir.
All right then. So let's solve this illustration number 2, Kafachan. Yes, I caught somebody the other time. The person was distracting the class. I think I noted the name. Let me see. Yes, Funke. Yes, Funke. I have you in mind. Read, please. Funke, read.
Akancha PLC is a second tier listed company that specializes in the business of manufacturing units of various sizes. Its factory is sited near one of the federal government's own steel manufacturing companies in the Southwest Texas. It enjoys prospective advantage to the sources of its raw materials, which are mainly iron ores from this government's parastatals. For several years, the company enjoyed uninterrupted production runs, which enable it to record steady growth in its annual profit. In recent times, the company has been experiencing downturn in its economic activities. The annual profits were declining and the situation was becoming worrisome for management. The privatization program of the government was the main cause of the adverse shift in the profits of the company because raw materials became the critical operations constraints. As a result, the importation of iron ores became the only option to ensure smooth production. This option was faced with many problems and the company was finding it difficult to arrange its unfavorable situations. The company is planning to diversify and add a new product now as part of its survival strategy. The new product is industrial polish. The raw material, which is wax, is a byproduct of petroleum environment. Achievement of the diversification require initial investment in the acquisition and installation of the polishing machine. The management is continuously a choice from two alternative machines for which markets survey had been carried out. There are only church machines in the market. Both machines fulfill the same function and have the same capacities. Details of the coping survey as follows. Material and bill respectively. Initial cost, class fund, salvage, annual cash running cost. So now, the company's cost capital is 10%. The company is in a tax-free world. You are required to mention 4 problems which Carpenter PLC is likely to face in the importation of raw materials. B. Advise the management of Carpenter PLC of the measures proposed.
Thank you very much, Funke. You can mute yourself now. So that is the question. To answer the A part, you have to personalize it. Put yourself in a position of an importer. You want to import raw material from abroad. What are the likely challenges you are going to face? So examiner says you mention only 4 problems which the company is likely to face in the importation of raw material. So you as an importer, tell me what are the problems are you likely going to face? Please, if you want to talk, just mention your name, then give us your suggestion. Yes. Who will take the lead?
Sir, port
Who's-
clearance, I guess. Okay, my name is Nanya. Asif Nanya.
Okay.
Jennifer.
Okay, Jenny.
Oh.
So you say what did you say is your answer? Your suggestion?
Port clearance.
Port clearance. Okay. Okay. Port
Hello,
administrative bureaucrats. Okay, yes. Who is speaking?
Kunle, sir.
Kunle, go ahead.
Start saying forest to
Okay.
purchase.
Okay. Foreign exchange. Okay. Valid. Yes. Next.
Okay. Government tariffs.
Government tariffs. Who is that person?
Okay.
Funke. Okay. Tariff. Correct.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Who is speaking?
Quality control and product
Hero.
offline.
Inkiro. Okay. Talk to me.
Exchange rate.
Somebody has mentioned foreign exchange. Yeah.
Sir, freight cost.
Who is speaking?
Vera, freight cost.
Freight cost. Okay. Vera, have you worked in the port before? Yes.
All right, sir. Import duties.
Yeah, import duty is also valid. Freight cost is the cost of transportation from abroad. The cost of transporting the goods from abroad. Yes, correct.
Another thing is the
Quality control and
quality.
Who is speaking? One after the other. Oliver, what are you saying?
I'm looking at the quality of the material. How do you guarantee the quality of the material? And also how to source for this material, the constancy of the supply.
The quality of the material. Okay. Could that be? Okay, I'm coming. Quality
Regularity of supply too.
No, of course you can talk about the reliability of the supplier. But the quality may not be the issue. The issue now is because your supplier, your overseas supplier may disappoint. So if your overseas supplier is not reliable, that may face a challenge. So the quality it's not part of the challenges we are looking at. Yeah, there's one more thing you guys have not mentioned. I'm waiting for somebody that will give it to us.
Sir, this is Benjamin. I think there can be delay in the delivery.
Delay. That's the lead time. Yeah. That's the delay time. Yes, you are correct. That is what I want to hear. Who is that person?
Okay.
Okay, yes. The initial, before you even purchase, before you import the item from the abroad, you must ascertain that you have sufficient capital to purchase the item, isn't it? So you need the initial outlay to purchase the material, the cost of buying the material. If you don't have it, there will be no need. You won't be able to purchase, to import the item. So these are the valid points you guys have mentioned. So you know it, which of course, that's a bonus for you. All right, then. So let's move to the B part now. Number B, you are to advise the management of Kafachan PSA on the machine to purchase. Now, this particular one may be slightly different from what we have done so far. In this requirements, there are two different types of assets. We have matching A, we also have matching B. Examiner is now asking you to advise the management on the matching to purchase. It means you want to buy an asset. If you want to buy an asset, then you are supposed to calculate annual equivalent cost. Okay, you need to calculate the annual equivalent cost because your intention is to buy an asset. Now, if that is the case, what are you supposed to do? The same procedures is what you are going to carry out. The only thing is just that in this case, you are not going to have anything like contribution. So it will be your initial cost of the assets, your maintenance cost, then your scrap value, if any, is what you are going to use to calculate your NPV. Then once you get your NPV ready, you calculate your annual equivalent value, annual equivalent cost. Then you advise on the machines to purchase. So quickly, I will stop sharing this, then move to the working notes.
Sir, sorry,
Yep.
this is Jennifer.
Okay.
So, you mentioned earlier before we started calculations that for us to determine what to calculate, we have to, determine whether to calculate the value or the cost. We have to first calculate the NPVs. If they are positive, then value. If it's negative, then cost. So how do you not know that we are calculating cost when we've not done the calculations?
It's implied in the question. Our examiner is asking you which of the machines to purchase. When you want to buy something, is your money not going out? Jenny, you want to purchase a machine. When you say you want to purchase, that means you are going to incur cash outflow. Your money will be going out. So you don't need any examiner to tell you that you are going to get a negative NPV because you want to buy the machine. Once you are buying, your cash will be incurring cash outflow. All right. So you have to know that from the beginning.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right then. So the name of this company is Kafachan. PLC. Number B, calculating annual equivalent cost. Please, don't go and be writing this on the day of your exam, AEC. You have to write it out in full. Therefore, I would then say matching A. Matching A, I will create a column for year, description of items, cash flows, discount factor, adds. What's the cost of capital given in the question? 10%. Here is 10%. Then we have present value. Year 0, initial cost of the assets. What's the initial cost of matching A? We are told that initial cost of matching A is 5 million naira. Here is 5 million. Multiply by 1, 5 million. Then I will then go back to the question. What other variables do I have? Since I don't have selling price in this question, we don't have variable costs, so there will be no contribution, except if examiner gives to you contribution directly. But since I don't have contribution also in the question, then I will ignore that information. Then I will then move forward. Am I given scrap? Am I given maintenance cost? Yes, examiner has given to us annual cash running cost, 100,000 naira for matching A. Then we're also given salvage value. Salvage value is the same thing as scrap value. Therefore, 100,000. I have initial running costs. Here is running cost, 100,000 naira. As the name implies, cost. So you put it in brackets. Now, This annual running cost for how many years? So that means examiner has told you annual cash running cost. So from year 1, 100,000, year 2, 100,000, year 3, 100,000, up to the year 4 of the useful life of the asset is 100,000. So since this 100,000 naira is constant, then I need to calculate annual equivalent, sorry, annuity factor. I need to calculate annuity factor. So if that is the case, then somebody should calculate for me annuity factor of year 1 to 4 at 10%. 1.1 raised to power 4 minus equal minus 1 equal divided by 0.1 equal 3.17. Here is 3.170. Multiply 317,000. It's a cash outflow. Yes, who is raising hand? Yeah, talk to me. Yes.
Sir, it's Pascal.
Okay,
So,
talk to me.
I wanted to ask if contribution is also given now that we are calculating for costs. Are we to deduct it or divide it by the cost from the cost of the?
You said if contribution is given, are we to divide it or
deduct?
See, this is what you are going to do. At times, examiner may give to you contribution. Then once your cost is more than your cash inflow, certainly you are going to have a negative NPV. But the bottom line is that, say for example, in this particular one, we also have contribution. So you now go ahead and calculate your net cash flow. If your running cost is more than your annual contribution, you are going to have a negative net cash flow, isn't it? So once you have that net cash flow negative, then you compute your NPV. That means your NPV will be negative as well. Do you get?
Sorry, sir, please, could you come again?
What I'm saying is that, say for example, in the first year, you have contribution. Say for example, your contribution is 10,000 naira. In that same year one, your running cost or your maintenance cost is 12,000 naira. Are we together? Then since the two of them is going to be affected with the same discount factor, year one. Therefore, what I need to do is to find the net cash flow. The net cash flow in this case is 2,000 negative. Therefore, if net cash flow is 2,000, then of course, I'll just go there in year one. I'll put negative 2,000. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we deduct it from it. I get.
We are still calculating the same net cash flow. So provided if your running cost or maintenance cost is more than your annual contribution, certainly you are going to have a negative net cash flow. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's clear.
No, not though.
Okay. Let's continue.
Hello, sir. Please, I want to know.
Who is speaking?
Hello? Yes, I'm Kiru. I want to know
Yeah.
why you're using annuity factor.
Why I'm using annuity factor is because your
Yes.
cash flow, your annual just pay attention. Your annual cash flow, your annual running cost of 100,000 naira is constant. Year one is 100,000. Year two is 100,000. Year three up to year 4 is 100,000. You can't come in and be listing 100,000, 100,000, 100. It's a waste of time. Since the cash flow is constant, so you need to calculate annual equivalent. You need to calculate the annuity factor. All right.
Okay.
That's why we did year 1 to 4. Yes. Yes. Who's talking again? All right, then move on. So we are now told that for matching A, we also have salvage value of 500,000 naira. At the final year of the assets, the matching will be disposed at 500,000 naira. So year 4, salvage value salvage value is 500,000. So you need to calculate discount factor at year 4, 10%. This should be 0.683. So let's get the present value of that. 500,000 multiplied by 0.683 equal 341,500. 341,500. Somebody should give me the NPV. What's the NPV, please? Yes. What's the NPV?
4,975,500.
4,925,975.
975. 500 negative.
975.
500.
500 negative. Right, so that is the NPV for matching A. At this point, I need to calculate, since my NPV is negative, I need to calculate annual equivalent cost, which is going to be NPV divided by annuity factor. So equal to 4,975,500 naira divided by annuity factor of 3.170. What you get? 1 million what?
1,569,558.
Thank you. 558. So that's that. So there is no need for you to come and put it in brackets. You have already said annual equivalent cost. Don't come in and put this one into brackets. So you don't need to do that. That's tautology. You've already said that annual equivalent cost. All right. So that's for matching A. Let's do for matching B. So matching B. So here, item, cash flow, discount factor at 10%, then PV. Year 0. What's the initial cost of matching B? 9 million naira. Here is 9 million. Multiply by 1. Then I will go back to the question. What's the running cost? Running cost of matching B is 80,000 naira, and the lifespan of matching B is 7 years. So running cost of 80,000 naira per annum. So here is running cost 80,000. Year 1 to 7 is costing at 80,000. A wise student will go ahead and give me annuity factor of year 1 to 7 at 10%.
5.13.
5.130, right?
Year 7. Year 7.
132.
5.132. Okay, year
Yes,
7.
sir.
So year 7 is what?
Yep.
0 point discount factor. Or is that what you are saying?
Annuity factor is 5.132.
5.13.
132.
Okay, 132. All right then.
Sir, it's wrong. Oh.
Okay. What's the correct answer? What's the correct? What did you
Getting
get?
4 points. I'm getting 4.86.
Yeah,
4.86.
868.
That's what I got too.
4.8.
Yes, that's the correct. Yes, 4.86. That's
It's
the correct one.
4.868.
Yeah, that's correct one.
All
It
right
should
then.
divide by the, what's it called? By the factor, cost of production, cost of capital. He didn't divide it. If you divide by 0.1, you get 4.862.
Okay. Yeah.
Four
Sorry.
point
So in year
six.
seven, we have a salvage value. That's a salvage value in year 7. The salvage value of matching B is 700,000 naira. 700,000. Then give to me what's the discount factor at year 7? 10%.
The first one again.
0.513.
0.513.
513. So let's multiply. I will then say 700,000 multiplied by 0.513 equal 359,100. 359,100. Then PV of the running cost 80,000 multiplied by 4.868 equal 389 440. Okay. Then somebody should give me the MPV.
9,030,340.
9030 440, right? Sorry, 340.
Excuse me,
340.
sir.
Yes,
Excuse me, sir.
talk to me.
Yeah, please, I want to know how you got this 0.513.
How we got 0.15513? That's the discount factor. You know, discount factor is calculated as 1 plus R raised to power minus N. In this case, it will be 1.1 raised to power minus 7. So that should give you, let me use my calculator to see, 1.1 raised to power 5 minus equal. That's for 7 years. Okay, let me recalculate. 1.1 raised to power 5, sorry, 7. 7 minus equal 0.513. That's the answer. 0.513. So use your calculator and confirm. All right. So let's calculate annual equivalent cost equal for matching B 9,030,340 naira divided by annuity factor of 4.6868. 4.868. What you get? 9030 340 divided by 4.868.
Yes, 1 million.
That's 1,855,000. 1,855. 0 what?
041.
041. 041. So that is the annual equivalent cost of matching B. At this point, you need to make a decision. So matching B, matching B produced, matching A produced annual equivalent cost of 1,569,558 naira, whereas matching B produced annual equivalent cost of 1,855,041 naira. Therefore, matching A with a lower annual equivalent cost should be purchased. So decision. So I will say matching A produced annual equivalent cost and annual equivalent cost of 1,569,558 569,000. Let me confirm that. 569. 558. Y matching B. Y matching B. Generated an annual equivalent cost of 1,855,041 naira. To stop. Matching A with a lower annual equivalent cost should be purchased. Since you want to buy a machine, so anyone that produces a lower cost is the one you are going to select. So that's the end of the question. Let me know if you have any question for me. At this point, let me know if you have any question for me. Any question so far?
So my question.
Yes, talk to me.
Judging from the two questions that was treated,
yep.
What I realized from the second question is that we are actually taking a decision to buy, not replacement.
Yes.
So asset replacement question can come in two forms. It could be a replacement, it could be a decision to buy, right?
It's the same thing. See, when you want to replace an asset, won't you buy the assets, right?
Well, that's true. Buy, yeah. Okay. That's true. That's true. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Any question so that you can, let's see if we can have one more.
Sir, Jennifer here.
Okay, Jenny.
What your comments now confused me a bit. You said, yes, it is true that we'll have to buy you to replace. But like my earlier question concerning how you knew about this, that we are going to calculate for the cost and not the value. Yes. So you said this is shown in the requirement that we are buying a product. So now what you said concerning, is it that because the other one, I checked the other question when I asked that question, I checked the first question that we treated, the AL Limited. So on that requirement, they didn't mention purchase or purchasing any asset or anything. So I just assumed, okay, because they did not mention it there. But this your comment now is saying that it's possible they can mention it, but still it is not cost that we'll be calculating. Please throw more light on that. Thank you. Like how we determine from the requirement what we have to calculate.
Okay. You can see in this particular one, in this second one, this second illustration is very straightforward. Examiner is asking you to advise on the machine to purchase. So you want to buy a machine. When you want to buy something, you are going to spend money. So your money will be going out. So that means you are supposed to calculate annual equivalent cost. In the first requirement that we solved, examiner is asking you to advise on the optimal replacement strategy the company should adopt. When should the company replace the assets? You can see I'm giving you different scenarios, the way question examiner can test you on that day. In the first one, examiner wants you to determine replacement strategy a company should adopt. Then to achieve that, you are going to calculate either annual equivalent value or cost. Now, because our NPVs are positive, then we calculated annual equivalent value. So which is different from this one? In this one, examiner did not ask you to determine optimal replacement strategy. Examiner wants to know which machine to purchase between A and B. That is the direction of the question. So you can't just calculate NPV and you say, okay, purchase this. You have to calculate because the two machine does not have the same, had it been the two machine have the same useful life, she would have advised that, okay, anyone that has a lower NPV of cost is one you are going to select. But because they have different useful life, so you need to determine the weighted average cost. Your weighted average cost is your annual equivalent cost. In this case, matching A has 4 years life, matching B has 7 years life. So I can't just stop as NPV of each of them. So I need to get the weights, the weighted average cost. I need to divide each of them by the annuity factor of each of the machines. And that's what we have done in this B part, in this second question. But your concern now, Jennifer, is the fact that, okay, the requirement is different. The requirement can never be the same. It's different. This is a different scenario to the topic. This is the different scenario. If it come out this way, this is where you are supposed to solve it. Now, one particular guy, I think is Kunle. I can't remember the name. I think it's Kunle. Yeah, he was asking the other time. He was asking if we have contribution and we also have annual maintenance costs, can we have a negative NPV and all of that? Are we going to divide it, or you are going to minus it? And then explain. This is what I'm trying to say. Say, for example, in a particular question, you are given initial outlay. Watch me. You are given initial outlay of 100,000 naira. So you also have annual contribution. Say you have annual contribution of 30,000 naira. You are given annual maintenance costs, annual maintenance or running costs to be 25,000. Let's say it's 25,000. Let's increase this one to like 80. Okay, then you are given a scrap value. That's a scrap value at the final year. You are given a scrap value of 10,000 naira. That's a scrap value of 10,000 naira. Then the useful life of this asset is, say, 3 years. The useful life of the asset is 3 years. So you are now asked to advise when the machine should be replaced. These are the variables given to you. So in this case, the first thing first you need to do, yes, so the first thing you need to do, because the annual contribution and then annual running costs will be affected with the same discount factor. So I need to go and calculate my net cash flow. My annual net cash flow will then be, equal to 80,000 minus running cost of 25,000. This will produce 55,000 naira positive. I have annual cash inflow of 55,000. Therefore, examiner wants to know when the asset should be replaced. So in this case, what am I supposed to do? I will then come here. Okay, let's do this. Let's say, for example, the scrap value of each year will be different. So to make it very clearer. So let's say the scrap value, year 1. Let me write this. Scrap value year 1 is 10,000. Year 2 is 5,000. Then year 3 equal to 1,000. That's the scrap value. Now, in this case, when I want to calculate my NPV, I will say replace every year. I will do for only 1 year. Replace every year. Examiner wanted to determine when the machine should be replaced. So I will then do for year 1. Let's say cost of capital given to us in a question. Cost of capital is 10% for simplicity. Cost of capital is 10% for simplicity. I would then come here, this is 10%, then PV. Year 0, initial cost of the machine. We are told the initial cost of the machine is 100,000 naira. Here will be 100,000. 100,000. In year 1, I will say net cash flow. The net cash flow of year 1, we calculated our net cash flow to be 55,000 because I've already minus my annual contribution and I've minus the running cost from the annual contribution. So here is 55,000. 0.909. In year 1, my scrap value is equal to 10,000 naira. Here is 10,000. 0.909. So give it to me. What's the PV? 55,000.
50,000 naira.
50,000 naira. Thank you. Here is 50,000 positive. Then this one will be 9,000.
49,995.
Pardon?
9,009.
9,080 naira.
For that 50,000 is 49,995.
49,995. Okay. Here is 49,995. So what's your final answer, NPV of year 1?
49,115.
40 what?
915.
915 negative. I will do for year 2. I will do for year 2. The same way I've calculated for year 1, I will do for year 2. So at the end of the day, you will see that your NPV will be negative all through. In that case, I need nobody to tell me that I'm supposed to calculate annual equivalent cost. Okay, let me just say, we still have sufficient time. So let me just go to year 2. I will say replace every 2 years. Replace every 2 years. So, yeah, item, cash flow, discount factor at 10%, then PV. Year 0, initial cost, 100,000, multiplied by 100,000. Okay, then in year 1, net cash flow of year 1, we got 55,000. Here will be 0.909. Okay, then we got 49,995. In year 2, net cash flow. In this case, we did not consider year 2. So since our net cash flow is constant at 55,000, so that's the implication. I would then come here, 55,000 as well, multiply by 0.826. What do you get? What's your present value?
45,430.
45,430, right? Okay, then. Of course, the question cannot be schemed this way. I just use just an example. All right, then. So if that is the case, what's our scrap value for year 2? 5,000. Here is 5,000. 0.826. 826 multiplied by 5,000. 0.826. That's 4130. Here is 4130. So at the end of the day, what's your NPV?
5414.
50, 44.
414.
Did you say 5442 or just 442?
440. 440.
440. Okay. 4, is that 442 is not correct?
445.
440.
445 negative.
445.
Negative 445.
Okay, 445. All right then. So you also do for year 3, because we are saying the useful life is for 3 years. Yeah. So, but in this case, because this is how you are going to, but examiner we design the question such that your NP, if the examiner wanted to calculate annual equivalent cost, it will be negative all throughout. But from the beginning, you have made life easy for yourself by calculating net cash flow, because your contribution, your annual contribution, and then the maintenance cost, and then the maintenance cost will always be affected with the same discount factor. So instead of repeating your cash flow in the first year for contribution and also your running cost, why don't you just find the nets? That is what you are supposed to do. And that's why we have this 55. But again, what I'm saying in the essence is that if an examiner wants you to calculate annual equivalent cost, so they are going to design the question such that your NPV all throughout the years will be negative. If an examiner wants you to calculate annual equivalent value, the question will be designed such that the NPV will be positive all throughout, because the examiner that set the question knows the outcome, knows where you are going to, what you are going to get at the end of the day. So this is just an explanation on your other concerns, Jennifer, and then I think it's Kunle. Yeah, so that's that. So at this point,
Sir, please, can you scroll up? Can you scroll up a bit?
So where? Is it okay here?
No, sir. Go down. Downwards. Not,
This
okay,
one?
sir.
This
Yes,
one?
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It's okay.
So please scroll up. Let me copy the question.
Okay, somebody is Mercy, can I?
I'm okay. I'm okay, sir.
Okay.
So let it go up a bit so that we can complete the question. Okay, scroll value 1051 useful life 3 for capital 10. Okay. 1.
So for these hypothetical numbers now, by the time you do for year 3, you see that year 3 is positive, because by the time you begin to repeat the cash flow of year 1, year 2, and year 3, at the end of the day, you notice that it will be more than the initial outlay. All right. But like I said, examiner will design the question such that, of course, you can't be having, examiner will design the question such that your net cash flow will be different, will be lower as you move further in the year. It will be lower. So by the time you do for the 3rd year now, you notice that we are going to repeat 55,000 again for year 1, 55,000 for year 2, then 55,000 for year 3. By the time you discount it, you see that your NPV will be positive. Like again, examiner cannot set such. This is just an hypothetical number. All right. Okay then. So let's at this point, if I like, I can end the class. If I like, let's have one more illustration. Let me stop sharing this. Let's see if we can accommodate one more illustration.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Kay, talk to me.
This is Jennifer.
Okay.
So, sir, thank you for throwing more light. Another thing is,
Yeah.
Are we required to provide the NPV for each year? Or is it like, I'm wondering why we have to calculate it like different tables instead of one table for all the years?
Yes, good one. You can, there's another way of doing it, but that one is more technical than this one. You see, I I can demonstrate that for you, but because of time, but I don't want to go there. Just focus your mind on one particular method of solving it. However, it's better for you to do it year by year. If you want to replace the assets in year one, what is the NPV of year one? If you decide to replace every 2 years, what's the NPV of the 2 years? So I can also decide that, okay, if I don't want to do it this way, instead of finishing, let me reshare again, go back to the working notes. Like in the one we have solved previously, like the first illustration that we solved, instead of solving the entire question before we calculate the annual equivalent value, I can decide to be calculating annual equivalent value at each point I finish calculating the NPV. Like in this case now, this is the first one. I can decide to calculate my annual equivalent value in this one. I will just say 22,269 divided by 0.909. I will get my answer. Keep it on one place. Then I will now go ahead and again do the same thing for year 2. Year 1 to 2, like in this case, I'll just divide this one by the annual equivalent annuity factor, and I will get my annual equivalent value. So what I'm saying in essence is that, yes, we can have a one page, where on one table that will include everything, year 1 to 3 or year 1 to 4 or 5, whatever the useful life of the asset. So there's a way you are not going to do it this way. That's a way you are going to calculate it. But I don't want to confuse you more. So just follow this. All right, let's follow this.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
But in any case, I can work it out and I will share with you just for you to have the idea how it will look like. Okay.
Sir, question, sir.
Yep.
Is there a possibility that the question might tweak it in a way that the assets will be replaced with the inventory from the store? Is there a question like that?
Assets,
like, can it
asset
be,
and inventory. It's not the same thing.
I mean, like an asset that has already been maybe purchased earlier or something, but is just kept, it has not been used. Can they set a question like that?
It's still the same thing. The bottom line is that you want to replace an asset, whether you have the asset in store, or whether you have the machine somewhere or whatever, provided that you want to replace it. That's the objective of management. Management wants to know when and how should the asset be replaced. You've already using the asset. You say you are not using it, just kept it somewhere. Now that you want to replace it, is that not your question?
Yes, sir. It's a question, sir.
So irrespective whether you are using the asset or not, you've already purchased the asset previously. Now that you want to replace it, whether you have it somewhere or not, the bottom line is you want to replace the asset. Then go ahead and replace. Calculate your replacement cost and advice on when and how you should replace it. That's it. Okay. So let's have one more illustration. Yes, let's go to illustration number 1. Let's solve this illustration number 1. Who will read for us? Who will read for? I don't want to mention name. If you want me to call a name, I will, but I need somebody to volunteer.
Telemundo PLC.
Who is speaking?
Melissa.
All right then, thank you. Go ahead.
Telemundo PLC is a manufacturing company trading Brazil, a country in which there have been virtually no inflation for many years, and in which none is expected in the future. The company produces a wide range of products, one of which is the Samba, which requires the use of a special machine. The company's present policy is to replace each machine at the end of its physical productive life of 4 years. The directors are now considering whether to replace the machine more frequently than once every 4 years, in view of the fact that its productive capacity declines as it gets older and potential sales of Samba are lost. There is sufficient There is insufficient demand for the company Samba to justify the purchase of a second machine. Telemundo PLC charges a selling price of 12 kobo per Samba, at which price it is able to sell up to 500,000 per annum. Variable costs excluding machine depreciation and running costs amounted to 4K per Samba. Details of productive capacities and running costs, including maintenance of the machines, are given below. And then we have the table. Annual running costs are independent of the number of Samba produced. The directors wish to continue their present policy of always buying new machines at a price of 60,000 naira each. Trading value of the machines are 40,000 naira for 1-year-old machine, 25,000 naira for 2-year-old machine, 10,000 naira for 3-year-old machine, and nil for 4-year-old machine. The company provides depreciation on all its assets using the straight line method. All costs are revenue are paid at or received in cash at the end of the year to which they relate, with the exception of the initial price of the machine, which is paid immediately on purpose. Telemundo's PLC has an annual cost of capital of 10%. You are required to determine optimal replacement strategy for Telemundo PLC in non-transition.
Thank you very much, Kunle. So that's the question. Examiner wants you to determine optimal replacement strategy for Telemundo PLC. So without wasting more time, let me stop sharing, then move to the working notes. Working notes. So let me know if you can see my screen, please.
Yes, sir.
All right, then. So let's solve this question. So the name of the company is Telemundo. This is illustration number 1. Solution to illustration number 1. Telemundo. So I need to go and do my working. This is 1 page, 2nd page, then the 3rd page. So 3rd page will be my working. So because in the question I'm given selling price, I'm also given variable cost. I need to calculate contribution. So you know contribution per unit is selling price minus variable cost per unit. So contribution is 12 kobo, selling price is 12 kobo minus variable cost of 4 kobo. Therefore, contribution per unit is 8 kobo. So I need to calculate total contribution. So year, units, contribution per unit, then total contribution. Then let's go back to the question. What's the useful life of the machine? 4 years. 4 years is the useful life. So therefore, year 1, year 2, 3, and 4. How many units of Samba are we producing for the first year? We are told 500,000. So here is 500,000. Another 500,000. 400,000 for year 3. Then 400,000 units for year 4. So our contribution per unit is 8 kobo. So multiply. Here will be 40,000. Here will be 40,000. Here will be 32,000. 32,000. So I will go back to the question if I have maintenance costs. Examiner told us that after the table, annual running costs are independent of the number of sample produced. The director wished to continue their present policy of always buying new machine at 60,000. That 60,000 represent the initial outlay. Okay. Trading value of the machines are 40,000 for year one. Here you have scrap value of 40,000, 25,000 for the second year, then of course 10,000 for the third year. The new value, there's a new receipt for year four at disposal. Then of course, our running cost 6,000, 6,575, 9,000, 6,000. So since you have running costs, then I need to go and calculate my net cash flow. I will then say working over 2, net cash flow. Year 1, 2, 3, then 4. My annual contribution is 40,000 for the first year, second year 40,000, followed by 32,000 for third year, then 32,000 again. So I need to less running cost. The first year running cost is 6,000, followed by 6,500. The third year is 7,500. Then 9,000 for the fourth year. Therefore, I will have my net cash flow. Here is 34,000. Here is 33,500. Then here is 20 watts. That should be 24,500. Then here will be 23,000. So if that is the case, at this point, I need to go and calculate my NPV. Okay, let's go and calculate NPV. So I would then say replace every year. So year, item, cash flow, discount factor at 10%, then the present value. So year 0, 1, 1. Initial cost of the machine. The machine will cost 60,000. Multiply by 1. 60,000. My annual net cash flow. The net cash flow for year 1, what did we get?
34,000.
34,000 is the first year. There is 34,000. Multiply by 0.909. Then in year 1, we have scrap value. How much is the scrap value? Scrap value in the first year is 40,000 naira. Trading value in of the machine are 40,000 for year 1. So examiner say trading value, not scrap value. It's the same thing, but examiner call it trading value. So 40,000. 0.909. Somebody should give me the present value.
36,360.
36,360. Yes.
Sir, is not 36,000. That's 30,906.
30,000.
906.
Okay. 30,906. Thank you. So replace, what's the present value of the TIV trading value?
36,360.
36,360. So what's the IATO? That's 7,266. Okay. So replace every 2 years. Cash flow 10%. Year 0, initial cost is 60,000. Multiply by 1, 60,000. Year 1, net cash flow 34,000. Multiply by 9.09. We got 30,906. Year 2, net cash flow. What's the net cash flow of year 2? 33,500. Multiply by 0.826. What you get?
27,671.
27,671. Then in year 2, we have trading value. Our trading value in year 2 is what? According to the 25,000 naira. Here is 25,000 multiplied by 0.826. What's the present value?
2615.
2615.
650. 650.
650. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's our NPV?
19,227.
19,227. Then I'll move to year 3. Year 3 cannot, that space cannot occupy year 3. So replace every 3 years.
Sir, please don't be offended. Can you move to year 2, please? I just want to capture it.
When I'm done, when I'm done, you capture.
All
right.
right.
And I will still share the document, so no worries. 10%, then PV. Year 0, 1, 2, 3, 3. Initial cost, net cash flow of year 1, year 2, net cash flow of year 3, then trading value of year 3. Here is 60,000. Multiply by 1, 60,000. Then net cash flow is 34,000. Multiply by 909. We got 30,906. Let me confirm. Yes, 906. Then year 2, 33,500, which is 0.826. And we got 27,671. 27,671. What's the net cash flow of year 3?
24,500.
24,500.
Sorry.
Multiply by
Yeah,
0.751. What's the PV?
0.751 times 24,500. 1839, 18,400
18,400.
approximately.
Okay. Then the TIV, the trading value of year 3, we are told is 10,000. Here is 10,000 multiplied by 0.751, 7,510. So what's our NPV?
7,510 plus 18,400 plus 27,671.
24,487.
24,487. 487. Thank you. So finally, we do for year 4. I will say replace every 4 years.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah. Cash flow. PV. Year 0. Initial outlay, initial cost, 60,000. 60,000. So we need to replace. We need to repeat year 1, year 2, year 3, net cash flow, then plus net cash flow of year 4. We are told in year 4, scrap value is 0.
Sir,
Yes.
NPV of year 3 is 24,490.
24,490. It can't be 490 now. When you have,
yes, sir.
You have 6, here is 6, here is 1. It can't be 24,490. Check it again.
Okay.
33,500. 24. Year 3 cash flow is 24,500. What's year 4 net cash flow?
23.
23,000. 0.909 826 751 683. No scrap value. Somebody should get net cash flow, present value of year 4. 3906.
15.
15 watts? 26, 27, 671. Is that 15 watts?
709.
709. There is 18,400. So give me the present MPV. What's the MPV?
Okay.
32,686.
32 686. Okay then. So now that we have computed NPV for each replacement cycle, therefore we need to calculate annual equivalent value, and our NPVs are positive. So I would then say annual equivalent value. Annual equivalent value equal to NPV divided by annuity factor. Let me see. Let me manage this space. Let me manage this space. Year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. Okay. Yeah. Working
then annual equivalent value. Year 1, year 2, year 3, then year 4. NPV of year 3 is that year 4 is 32,686 divided by annuity factor of year 1 to 4 at 10%. So we should have 3.170. NPV of year 3 is 24,487. Here is 24,487 divided by annual annuity factor of year 1 to 3, which is 2.487. Here is 2.487. NPV of year 2, we got 19,227. 19,227 divided by annuity factor of year 1 to 2, which is 1.736. NPV of year 1 is 7266. 7266 divided by annuity factor of year 1, which is 0.909. So give it to me. What's your annual equivalent value for each one? Yes. Hello?
Year 1,
Yes, yeah.
7,993.
3.17. I'm coming. Here is 10,311. Yes, you say year 1 is what?
7,993.
7,993. Okay. Year 2 and year 3.
Year 2 is 11,075.
11.
That year 1. That year 1 is 6,605.
It can't be 6,000. You say year 2 is what?
Okay, it's correct. It's correct.
You say year 2 is what?
Year 2,
11,075.
11,075.
Year 3?
9,850.
9,850.
9,846.
46.
9,846.
Okay then.
Yeah.
So we have computed annual equivalent value for the respective years. Therefore, we need to make a decision. At this point, we are going to select anyone that has the highest annual equivalent value. Year 2 appears to be the highest, which is 11,007. Therefore, the matching should be replaced every 2 years. So, decision. Or advice. The matching should be replaced every 2 years. That's it. Considering the highest annual equivalence value relative to other years. So that's end of the question. Let me know if you have any question for me. Do you have any question for me?
Yes, sir.
So what's your question?
Hosanna, sir.
Pardon?
Please, sir. Hosanna.
Okay.
Please, sir, I'm confused how you got the second annuity factor.
The second annuity factor is the same formula we are using now. You know, annuity factor is, okay. You know, annuity factor, I will repeat the formula again. Annuity factor equal to 1 minus 1 plus r raised to power minus n divided by r. So for the second year, you say I'm confused for the second year. So this will be 1 minus 1.1 raised to power minus 2 divided by 0.1. So you should be able to get 1.736. So when you want to start, you start from the parentheses, the one in the brackets. So you say 1.1 raised to power minus 2 equal. You press equal on your calculator. Then you now say that answer that you have in your calculator, you say minus 1, then equal, divided by 0.1, equal. You should get 1.736.
Thank you, sir. I got it.
You're welcome. So any other question for me, please? Any other question? All right then. So in the absence of no further question, this is where we are going to call it a day. And yes, 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 who is
Hello,
speaking?
sir.
Who is speaking?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
You did mention in the body of the, lecture that we have assets that fail suddenly and assets that fail gradually.
Yes.
So, and I observed that all the three illustrations we have solved are those that are assets that fail gradually. So when it concerns assets that fail suddenly,
yeah,
are we also going to apply the same method for working?
No. It's a different way of doing it. It's a different way of doing it. So in that case, you are going to calculate for failure, the rate of failure and all of that. But in any case, I can't say we cannot test that. But the issue is that it's not common. That's why I don't usually go to that axis. I mean, to that area. It's not common. What is common is this one I'm giving to you. But let me see what I can do in that one. All right. For the asset that fails suddenly. Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah. But again,
Sir.
it's not common. Yes, talk to me.
In a situation where we're not given cost of capital, can we assume?
Yeah, if you are not given, no, you can't assume. If you are not given cost of capital, then you have to solve it the same way. But let me show you. Let me see. There's a particular question. Let me check whether it's the one. Yes. Let me share my screen with you. Let me share my screen. Yes, when you look at this illustration about 4,
yeah,
Jupiter Limited, in the requirements, you have to determine the optimal replacement strategy for Jupiter Limited using average annual cost. Are we together? You can see that in this particular question, let me move to that person. You will notice that in this particular question, there is nowhere cost of capital is given. When you look at all of this information you have here, no cost of capital, and then even in the requirements, there is no cost of capital. Therefore, what are you going to do? But let's do it this way because we have about just 2-3 minutes to for the class to end. Now, I will solve this particular illustration, this illustration number 4, then I will share with you. It's very simple and straightforward. Then you will see how it is being computed. All right.
Okay, sir. That's the reason for the question.
Yeah, it's all right. So any other question? 2 minutes more. All right. So in the absence of no further question, this is, we are going to, let's end the class, and we are going to meet in our next class by the grace of God. Thank you everyone for making time to join. I will see you next time by the grace of God. Bye-bye.
So thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Yes, yes, we are meeting in the evening.